Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Juma Recap. Today, the Khatib talked about the Quran and the prophets in the Quran. I think it was more of his point was more informational, so I'm going to tell you what he said, but add some reflections about his topic. He mentioned that in the Quran, it explains that there are over 100,000. I think he said it was 123,000. Well, excuse me. Allah said there's 100,000 prophets, and out of that group, 25 of them are really, really special. Now, before I continue, he also explained that there's prophets and messengers. All messengers, they are prophets, but not all of them, but not the other way around. All prophets are not messengers. So from the group of prophets and messengers, 25 of them are really explained in the Quran. And from that 25, there are 5 that are really, really important. And those 5 are, in chronological order, are Noah, or an Arabic word, Nuh, Ibrahim, that's the Arabic word. The English word is Abraham. Then there's Musa, or Moses, Isa, or Jesus, and Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was really it for his khutbah. But I'm thinking that these 5 are really important because they really, really changed, or they really, really impacted, or we can learn from them a lot. For example, from Noah. He was a prophet, or he was a messenger for not over 900 years. And he would explain to the people, and he would call them, and he would warn them, but most of them ignored him. And then finally, he just complained to Allah, saying, they're not going to believe. Do whatever you want. Do what you will. So I learned from him patience, that it doesn't matter when times are hard, still try to be patient and endure as much as you can. And when you feel you can't take it anymore, complain to Allah, not to people, not to your family or friends or strangers. Really complain to Allah, because really He's the one who can change any situation. So far as Abraham, or Ibrahim, I like from his story that he does dawah, or he conveyed Allah's message. He conveyed it in a creative way. For example, in the Quran has a story about, at that time when he was alive, that people really worshipped idols. And these are things that people set up in place of God for worship. Or they depend on them to talk to Allah for them, which becomes they're worshiping them, because Allah is really the goal, so talk straight to Him, and He tells us that. But at that time, the people were doing a pilgrimage to another area, and Abraham didn't follow their religion. So he stayed, and the idols that were set up, Abraham destroyed them with a hammer, just broke them all, except for the biggest one. And the hammer, he left it on the idol. He put it there and he left it. And then when the people came back, they were completely in disarray. They were complaining, and then one man said, I think Abraham, that man named Abraham, I think he did it. He said something about that. He would do it. So they went and got Abraham and brought him and asked him, did you do this? Did you break our idols? And he said, no, it wasn't me. Why don't you ask the big one? Well, the people, it really touched their heart at that time because they know inside, instinctually, that the idols can't break anything. They can't protect themselves. So it touched them, but it didn't last. And eventually they went back to worshiping the idols. But I like that he was creative in spreading Allah's message. And with Moses, he is the most often mentioned prophet in the Quran. And I like his story because the Jews, or the children of Israel at that time, were very rebellious. But Moses, he tried to work with them, and he was stern with them also. And eventually they entered into Jerusalem, because the older people that were rebellious, most of them died. So, and then the newer, younger generation came, and then Allah allowed them to enter Jerusalem. Jerusalem. But I like his story because we, as Muslims, and people in general, we learn how not to behave when it relates to Allah. We know that we can't be rebellious and get a reward. It doesn't work like that. So I enjoy that story because of that example of how not to behave. And then Jesus, who obviously is the Messiah, he will come back. He will kill the Antichrist. In Arabic, the word is Masih ad-Dajjal. Excuse me, I'm a finger spell. I said the word. That person, he will be just the arrival of evil that just going to spread calamity in the world. So Jesus will come back and he will kill that person. So obviously he is very important for history and for religion. And then obviously the last one, Muhammad, because he is the last prophet. Allah is giving you your last chance to really change and enter Jannah, or heaven, and avoid hell. And Allah also says in the Quran, says, if you love me, follow Muhammad. So that's really, it really helps me when I think about Muhammad and Allah and religion and life and death, that Allah said clearly in these exact words, if you love me, then follow Muhammad. So it's like your parents telling you to do, when they leave the house, your brother and sister, whoever's older, they're in charge. So if you don't want punishment, you follow your parents' orders and follow what your brother and sister told you what you can and can't do. I think the concept is the same, but the level is not. It's not the same because of parents and brothers. They're below, they're here on earth, and Allah is better and worthy of more respect and honor than anyone alive. So I hope you enjoyed it, my recap. Inshallah, if you learned something, you enjoyed it, then please share the information, and thank you. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.